Everyone has a story. Stories have power. They help us understand each other.
Hello, Katia.
Hello, Doug.
Virtual fist bump. It's time to sign into Jessop's journal.
This is Jessop's Journal.
Hi guys, I'm Doug Jessop, and in this entry of Jessop's journal, we got the face masks and we are hand sanitizing. Okay, Thanks to Five Wives. And Katia is all sanitized as well. I've got Katia Racine, but she's known by something a little different. So, do tell.
Yeah, most people I think normally just call me Pixie.
Pixie, okay.
Yes.
Katia Pixie. Why? What's the where'd you come up with that one?
It really just, my mom always called me a little fairy child.
Ah.
And then this is a really hippie story. This is a very woo story. But when the Rainbow Gathering was in Utah, I decided to go, and my partner at the time called me a pixie princess, which I hated because I am not a princess.
Okay.
Anyway, so mom called me fairy child, he called me pixie princess, and I went to the Rainbow Gathering, walking through this beautiful forest in the middle of nowhere, Utah, and started talking to a woman I'd never met, and we did not introduce ourselves to each other. And she stops me in the middle and she goes, "Stop. Do you have a rainbow name?" I said, "No," and she goes, "You're Pixie." And I sort of just went,
Well, la-di-da.
I am Pixie.
Awesome.
And yeah, and then it fed into naming my band about a week later, and it has just really dug its heels in and stuck since then. So much that some people think it is my birth name.
Yeah, well, it could be. I mean, you go into all these festivals, you never know. So,
Yes.
So talk to me about growing up.
I grew up in Maryland, about 45 minutes outside of Baltimore and DC, on a small family farm, 32 acres, not commercial farm or anything, and kind of a really good town overall as far as education. Had kind of in a lot of ways, an idyllic childhood, just sort of being allowed to be feral. Just kind of run around the farm, and as long as we were back by dinner and we told our parents when we were going outside, it was fine. But I also grew up in a town where there weren't really I don't know that this is fair to say because all of my friends were artists, but there weren't really artists.
Okay.
It's kind of a lot of farmers, families that commuted from DC, a lot of people with a lot more money than my family had. We were pretty poor. So I grew up kind of playing outside, not having a lot of moneyed luxuries, but really just always finding an outlet in the arts, which my parents were incredibly encouraging of. Fun thing about our house on the farm, we have multiple different buildings, and we have this little outbuilding that's just one room and 2 floors, and it's red, and we just call it the Little House.
Okay.
And it sort of became my whole town's, for a group of us, it just became where we all ended up because we didn't really have anywhere else to go to just be weird artists. And we would all just hang out in this little house late into the night, and it was far enough away from the house that it didn't bother my mom that we were making a ton of noise. And we would just paint and make up songs all night long. I think it's really where I learned to love collaborative art and improvisation and singing with people. It's also where we coined the phrase, "You can't photograph magic," because so often it'd be the middle of the night and we would be singing and playing guitar, and we'd create this incredible song in the heat of the moment, and then it would end and none of us could remember how it happened, how it went.
Yeah.
And nobody had recorded it.
Of course not.
And it was just gone forever to the other. It was a gift, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
So that was my childhood. It was, I would say it was troubled like anyone's, but it had these really, really beautiful moments of connecting with nature on a very, very deep level, and also just feeding wild, boundless creativity.
Okay, so talking about, boundless creativity and the wild and everything, we're here in the backyard.
I love
and
this
we
place.
love the mountains and everything. how in the world did you get from Maryland to Utah?
A boy.
A boy. Well,
A
yeah.
boy.
Okay, fine.
So my boyfriend, when I was in college,
Mm-hmm.
we went to different universities. He graduated a year early, moved to Boston with me. I went to Northeastern University, where I studied theater performance and also religious studies.
Really?
Yeah, I have a degree in religious studies and in acting.
Okay.
And after I graduated, I had quit my band. I didn't really have a solid career at the time, and he wanted to go be a wilderness therapy field instructor.
Okay.
And the school he wanted to teach at was out here. And I had always romanticized moving west, but if I'm being honest, coming from the
Yes.
East Coast,
Yes.
my map of the West was Colorado, black hole where Las Vegas exists, California.
Uh-huh.
So when he said, I want to move to Utah, I genuinely didn't know where Utah was. I thought Idaho was like in the corn belt, because I was like, potatoes, corn.
Yeah, potatoes, corn. Yeah, it's all the same, right?
Yeah, so he got a job in Duchesne, and I have always been a bit of a, after I left the farm, I've always been a bit of a city girl. So
Okay.
I said, if I'm moving to a state where I know no one, I'm at least going to move to the city
Yeah.
in the state. And then I think the first winter I was here, I got a job working at Brighton Ski Resort
Cool.
as an assistant in the ski school with the little kids, because I've worked with youth in education since I was a youth, since
Okay.
I was 18. And then I got addicted to the mountains, and then
Yeah.
I got addicted to the desert. And now I'm still here pushing 8 years later. Never thought I was gonna stay for maybe 5 years, let alone pushing a decade now.
So now you've got a band
I do.
and you're in music.
I am.
Now, is that your full-time gig?
It is. It's my main gig. I do have some side gigs,
Okay.
but music is my main career.
Okay, so, and the name of the band?
My band is Pixie and the Partygrass Boys.
Okay, now I'm going to tease you about this. Pixie, I get. Okay. Partygrass. Okay, I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to going. Okay, hi, Pixie, dude. No, wasn't sure what we were going to
We
say.
get that a lot. Partygrass.
Party,
huh?
yeah. But I loved your music, you know, and in fact, just so you guys know, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, we invited Pixie and the Partygrass Boys to come and do a music special. So that's going to be coming up, you know, on Jessop's Journal sometime in the future. But anyway, I digress. How did you come up with the name?
A week after the story that I told about getting the Pixie nickname, we had already booked gigs and we didn't have a band name.
Okay.
So we were standing in my living room and sort of on the clock, desperately trying to get back to the venue with a band name. And we'd been playing with things and nothing was sticking. And our bass player was really into blank and the blank names.
Okay.
So he was playing with all sorts of things, Katia and the this and that. He actually said Katia and the KGB at one point, which no. We're just trying to figure out, how do we even get to a name? And somebody said, okay, well, what kind of music do we play? And we said, party bluegrass? It's party grass. It's party grass. It's not jam grass. It's not traditional bluegrass. And then somebody said, yeah, okay, Katia and the Partygrass Boys. And I had just had the Pixie nickname, and I said, well, what about Pixie and the Partygrass Boys? And it flows, it's fun to say, felt good, and
Yeah.
then it stuck. And then we wrote a theme song that sings it, so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You want to give me a couple bars?
Sure, it goes, we like chickens and we like fun. Let's have whiskey with everyone. Pixie and the Partygrass Boys. So we used to literally end every single set playing that song. Every set.
Okay, now I'm going to give you a hard time on this one. So, Pixie, I get. Partygrass, I get. Boys.
Yes.
Not all boys.
It is an ongoing question in the band of if and maybe when we should change the band name. We started the band just the boys and I.
Right.
And pretty soon after our sound started to solidify, it became really clear to me that in in the makeup, in the arrangements, we were missing something. And I pretty soon also realized, I think we're missing a fiddle, and I think we're missing another female voice. When we're singing harmonies, you know, in school, I was a soprano, but I am no longer a soprano. Strong alto, strong mezzo, I'm a belter. It's like we need that high harmony, and we really need that singing, floaty voice of a violin. So I'd been telling the boys, because they were way more in the scene, they're from here, so they knew people way better than I did. And one day, Ben was at our friend's house, and they were having a jam session in the living room, and totally not creepy at all, he took a video, and he sent it to me, and it said, "Look what I found." And it was Amanda singing and playing fiddle. And she is undeniably gifted.
Oh, yeah.
And that day, he invited her to come sit in on a gig with us, because we love to have friends sit in. We have percussion players sit in, we have horn players sit in, and he invited her to come play with us, and it's kind of just been history. She sort of started playing with us. We couldn't tell if she was super, super into it. I've told Amanda this story, I have. We played quite a few sets with her, but we weren't actually sure if she was in the band. So Ben and I kind of crafted this like sneaky way of asking her that wouldn't feel too much like a breakup for us if she said no.
Okay.
But we told everybody we were gonna book studio time and said it was gonna cost this much per person, and she said, "Okay, I'm in." And we were like, "She's in. She's in the band.
There you
She's
go.
down to pay for studio time."
Somebody needs to,
She's
right?
been in there since then.
Here's a question I've got for you, and I ask every single musician, and I realize the answer is it depends.
Yeah.
But there's one song that you have that's called Dance, okay? Now, admittedly, and this is for my kids and my grandkids, remember, I tell every single one of them, I take them out at night, and it says, and I want to see if you can join me here, okay? Everybody needs to learn to
Howl at the moon.
Okay? Ow! Ow! But there's also a thing that I really loved is that you talked about it might be your brothers, you know, or your fathers, it might be your mothers or your sisters. What in that song, what came first? The lyrics, the music? I mean, and how do you come up with that?
I don't remember if that one was music or lyrics first. I write both ways, and honestly, a lot of songs I do remember, but dance I don't.
What's it mean to you?
Yeah, that line you hit on is actually a lot of the core of that song to me. That song to me is about how life is undeniably very hard for everyone, and that we all have different levels of hardship and suffering, but we can choose to be each other's family, and that will make it a little bit easier. And we can choose to be each other's fathers, brothers, sisters, and mothers, and then dance and howl at the moon and sing and live life, and that it's always going to have things that hurt and that are really hard, but we're not alone.
Exactly, we can all work together with it. And man, we've had a whole bunch of hard stuff going on lately. So you guys haven't performed for a while.
Yeah.
What you been doing, and what happens now?
This was a hard year for us. We've had a steady trajectory of hard work and luck leading to success. And this was going to be a big year for us touring. We had so many huge festivals that were so exciting to be welcomed to. Some like Northwest String Summit, that's kind of a stamp of approval if you're a string band. Like, you get invited to strum it, you're a real string band.
Wow.
We had tours in the Northeast, the Southeast, trips to California, and it's all gone. March 6th was our very last gig. We played at Snowbird, and the next day everything started getting canceled and is continuing to be canceled through September at this point. Probably the rest of the year realistically. So we've bounced back and forth. Right when all of our gigs got canceled, I think everybody was just kind of scared and didn't really know what was going on. So we were all just sort of taking it as it came and saying, yeah, of course, nobody knows what's happening. Let's just hunker down and wait to see what happens. We had a new song that was coming out, so I really directed my anxiety about progress towards marketing that song. I really tried to get into our digital marketing side because we are self-managed, but then as more and more and more cancellations kept coming, I think we all just kind of took a step back for a second and said, let's take a breather, let's chill out. We can't get in the studio, we can't tour. There's so many other things that deserve people's attention than our music right now. Let's focus on our houses, on our relationships, on our life outside of the band. And we really took a little bit of time to just take a breather, which I think was good because we really run full speed nonstop. We tour constantly, and we tour nationally, and we do crazy fly dates. Like last year we flew from Salt Lake to Baltimore, drove to Western Maryland, played Delfest, slept, drove back to the airport, flew to Denver, played a gig, slept, flew back to Salt Lake, played a gig, slept, had 2 days, drove to California. So we're kind of the stereotype of touring musicians, and I think it was really hard for us to allow the pause and the breath on the career, but probably very good for all of us to kind of tie up some things that fall aside when you're touring.
Well, I got to think that when you're touring, I mean, without sounding rude, you better like each other, or at least tolerate each other, because that could really get hard.
Oh yeah.
You've got a new album coming out.
Couple, actually.
Couple, okay.
Yes.
So you performed a couple songs for Jessop's Jukebox. The first one was Dance. And what were the one was California, okay?
Yes.
I'm from California, so I mean, that perked my interest. What's California about?
California is twofold in its meaning. There is one that is deep and meaningful, and one that is tongue-in-cheek and real and from touring.
Okay.
And that's the fun one, I'll tell first. We played a festival in Northern California called High Sierra, and Zach Downs, our bass player, camped in some poison oak.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh no.
Maybe poison ivy. Maybe
One
poison
of those.
oak.
But
One of
poison
the two.
either way.
And he got a very, very bad rash. You know, he got the rash that it was on his arm, but then he had leaned down, so it was on his leg. So he was an itchy mess for weeks. And we were somewhere on the road. And I was playing my ukulele, and I was playing some very traditional bluegrass chords, and Zach's itching his arm, and he starts going, I am going to kill you, California. And I went, wait, that was very catchy.
I like that, yeah, okay.
I like that. And I started singing it, and that became the chorus. And then I wrote the rest about a guy that dumped me and moved to California.
Oh, well, la-di-da. Okay, well.
Well, actually, it's a mashup of a lot of people.
Yeah, okay.
Like, if you date a musician, they're gonna write music about you.
That is true. Just don't date Taylor Swift. Just said, okay.
Or Pixie.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, actually, that one's a mash of a few different people, so.
Okay. And then the third song that you performed was?
Paint You a Face.
Okay, tell me about that one.
That one came out of me all in one go. I literally sat on the ground with my ukulele and started playing, and the whole song came out. And that is a song about, it's bittersweet. It's about loving someone who you can't be with and kind of coming to grips with all of what that means. Of not necessarily wanting them back, not necessarily fighting that you can't be together, but still recognizing that you really love them. So wanting to do something for that person, wanting to be there for them, even though the world is hard and you can't. So it's a bittersweet love song, I would say.
Okay. Well, you know, life, like you said, life can sometimes be hard. And this is my journal. This is Jessop's journal. And the folks at Rustico made it for me. And, you know, they have these really beautiful, smooth ones. They're going to make one for you. But mine there was a scrap piece of leather they were going to toss up. No, 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 no. I want that one, the one that has the scars, because to me, life comes with scars.
Yeah.
Well, these guys have a hashtag called Leave Your Mark.
Leave your
so,
mark.
Pixie,
Yes.
here we go.
Okay, here
Katia, AKA Pixie. How do you want to leave your mark?
I will start this by saying I'm never satisfied. But I hope that I can be a force for understanding and community through vulnerability and safety. I know that sounds a little maybe esoteric or deep, but the nicest thing that someone ever said to me was that he felt like I was a source of home for people, not just for him, but that, I'm getting all emotional just thinking about it, but that I had the ability to move through the world as a place that felt like home for people. And I hope that through my art and my community endeavors and my music, I can just help people be true to themselves and feel home. The first line in dance, you know, maybe is a little bit more hopeful than I really am. I say, I once was like you, afraid to speak my truth, afraid of what the darkness drew. I think sometimes I'm still afraid to speak my truth, but I hope more than anything I can inspire other people to be vulnerable, be fully alive, and feel home as they move through the world.
Pixie, virtual fist bump. Okay, well, I want to thank you for coming on Jessop's Journal.
Yeah.
And while we're out, I want to thank the people that make Jessop's Journal possible. First, of course, you got Rustico, the guys that make my journals. Taylor Cooperative is making me, you know, look good, or at least, you know, enough that Ed can fix it. And then, of course, we got the guys from Five Wives, you know, that are helping sanitize us. Here's the thing I want people to remember. Stories have power. They help us understand each other. With another entry into Jessop's Journal and Pixie, I'm Doug Jessop, ABC4 News.